first and not get into stupid wars. And his answer is, I trust the president. I trust the president. I trust the president. That is giving the game away, because 2/3 of my Republican colleagues in the Congress wake up every single morning and say, what can I do today to prove my loyalty to the president of the United States? And Jim Jordan, the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, seems to be unaware that our whole system, Dana, is set up to provide checks and balances. That the job of a member of Congress is to approach the president, regardless of that president's party, with skepticism, with pushback, with checks and balances. So again, I hope you can play that video over and over again so America can see the fact that they no longer have a Congress.
Congressman, on the topic of Congress and being briefed, what the Trump administration is saying is that they didn't want to notify Congress because
We get Star Wars Luke Skywalker encounters Darth Bane and begins the Jedi Academy. This is done by Skywalker Stories, and I think it's a revamp. Like, he's done this one before, or was it Tales Untold who did this, and he's like redone it now. All right, let's get it.
Come on. Why does it do that? Like, when you go... There.
I'll be okay, R2.
It's crazy. After
What
the
control T?
Did, about a year ago, and you'll see a...
You fucks. Come on.
Sizable difference. Jesus Christ, that's quite the difference. Wow. Holy moly.
There's my beautiful face.
He just can't say anything anymore. This is getting too real. This is getting too real. Oh my God! You see that? He's even got the camera movement locked down now. Holy shit! We have entered a new age. Look at this, dude.
What is it that you desire?
Dude.
Peace.
Peace is the blanket of ash that settles after the fire has consumed all there is to burn.
The Jedi served that peace for 1,000 generations.
And when their peace was threatened, what was their solution?
They became soldiers to protect the light. Standing aside while people are suffering is the greatest failure.
They saw a problem and reached for a weapon. A Jedi's power is meant for knowledge and defense, never for attack. It is their first principle, and it was the first one they abandoned.
They did what was necessary to save lives.
Necessity is the language of the cornered, the language of compromise. And from compromise, corruption blooms. They policed a galaxy with an army born in shadow, and wondered why the darkness grew behind them. The rule of two is the rejection of that compromise.
It is the worship of strength alone.
It is the acceptance of strength. Its purest, most concentrated form. A master to embody absolute power. An apprentice to live in its shadow, to crave it, and to hone themselves for the sole purpose of one day taking it. Each generation survives only by being stronger than the last. It is survival, refined to its essence, a single perpetual struggle that ensures power concentrates, never dilutes. All other paths lead to decay.
It's just an endless cycle of masters and apprentices betraying each other.
It is the cycle of life. The strong surpass the old. The Jedi sought to freeze life in a moment of peace, to deny this cycle. And in that denial, they created the very pressure that shattered them. Your father was not an accident. He was an inevitability. The Jedi Code told him to release his fear. The dark side offered to erase what he feared. It offered a finality their compassion could not. Now you would build another temple upon that same code.
I'm building it upon their wisdom, not their mistakes.
Will you, or will you repeat the greatest one? You will teach your students to feel the Force, yet fear their feelings. To be powerful, yet distrust power. You will give them a light that asks them to close their eyes to half of what they are. And one day, the most gifted among them, the one who feels most deeply, will face a pain your code cannot soothe. They will seek a truth you have forbidden, and they will step into the darkness, because you left them no other path to be powerful.
My path isn't about closing eyes. It's about opening them to see the darkness without being consumed by it. He fell because he was alone. They
Everyone's
left him
right here. I'm
alone
gonna
with his
take
fear. That is the failure I will not repeat.
Confidence is easily shattered, Skywalker. The rule of two does not fear the shadow. is the shadow. It is the acceptance that peace is not the absence of darkness. It is the total victory of a will so absolute, it leaves no room for conflict. That is the only peace that has ever existed.
You're wrong.
Your light casts a long shadow. I look forward to seeing your faith shattered.
Chat, what do you think about this one? A little too much dialogue for me. Still got more. Do you think Darth Bane's the strongest Sith?
Yeah, for his hand, sure.
I would like to welcome you all to the Jedi Academy. Here we will train you in the ways of the Force. You will learn to defend yourself with a lightsaber. You will also study diplomacy, history, and more. It has been the practice of the jury to assign each student to a master. However, since there are still so few of us, we will be assigning multiple students to one master. Let us begin with your first lessons, and may the Force be with you.
It hurts something. And it feels like someone is watching us. I felt something too.
Pretty good, bro. Pretty good.
Hey, I got someone in the back!
They are in so much shock for what they are seeing inside of this house. Then, Will County Sheriff's Office. Now, let's get into some of the background for this story and what happened after the body.
When there's not much food around, snowshoe hares eat the bark right on trees. It's like someone's having a little ball now. Could it be?
God.
The PvE threats of Ark Raiders are numerous, and if you're unprepared, absolutely deadly. In this video, I'll be talking you through the best ways to take on each type of Ark enemy, focusing on both the easiest methods to pull off and those that require a low resource investment. We'll cover everything from the Hornets to the Bombardier in this video, with the only one not included being the Queen, because honestly, I think she deserves a video of her own. Until then, let's jump in and kick things off with the Hornets. Okay, so I know these guys aren't exactly the toughest human exterminating robots you'll see topside, but they can give new players especially a bit of a problem early on. So I wanted to quickly cover the best way to take them out, and most importantly, how to dodge their taser attacks. Killing a Hornet is much like taking down a wasp. You essentially just aim for the rotors. Keep in mind that the front two rotors are armor plated, meaning that you'll see more success with heavy ammo weapons against these ones in particular. If you're using light ammo weaponry especially, you'll probably just want to target the rear two rotors if you can, although this is a bit tricky in practice because of the angle that you're facing them. To dodge their attacks, simply wait for the 3 yellow targeting lasers to combine into one. They will then flash red just before firing, which is your cue to perform a dodge roll. If you just go in spamming the dodge roll, they will compensate accordingly, so there is a skill element when timing your dodge here. The closer you are to them, the harder this dodge will be to perform, so a little bit of distance can help a bunch as well. With that out of the way, let's move on to the Leaper. Now, these ground-based striding robots are vulnerable to 2 things, and that's tight spaces and fire. So blaze grenades and fireball burners both make for viable choices when attempting to take one down. You'll probably want to bring 3 just to be safe in case you miss a throw. The most important part of this method, though, is your positioning. Leapers struggle to get through small doorways and can't reach you when indoors, so using buildings to your advantage, like these bunkers on the spaceport for example, is always advised. Try to make sure you land the grenades on the center eyepiece of the Leaper, that way the fire will spread to all 3 limbs. Aiming your throw can be a bit finicky in these situations though, which is where my alternate and preferred method comes in. This is without a doubt the easiest way to kill a Leaper in Ark Raiders. This involves the use of a blaze grenade trap and a jolt mine. I don't know about you folks, but I end up with a lot of spare traps in my inventory because I don't find a use for them that often. Leapers are one of the few Ark enemies that we can use them against, since they quite literally throw themselves towards you at the very first chance they get. A single blaze grenade trap will shred through a Leaper's armor when detonated, so simply place one down, shoot the Leaper until it launches itself into the air, and then take a few steps back. I like to combine the blaze grenade trap with a jolt mine just to give myself some extra insurance and keep the Leaper inside the fire while it burns away, but this really isn't necessary. I just have far too many jolt mines laying around at this stage. I find this tactic a lot easier to pull off than throwing grenades, since I don't need to risk embarrassing myself by missing the target several times, and it seems to kill them with just 1 mine rather than the necessary 2 or potentially 3 blaze grenades needed with the previous method. Next up is the Rocketeer, and despite being a terrifying opponent for an unprepared raider, especially those that aren't equipped to deal with heavier armor plating, the Rocketeer is actually one of the easier of the larger Ark enemies to take down once you know the proper strategy. For this, all you'll need is an anvil and enough ammunition. 40 rounds roughly should do it. The reason we're using an anvil is that it's one of the easiest heavy ammo weapons to get your hands on and has a relatively quick fire rate, which is going to be important here. While the Rocketeer's thrusters are technically weak spots, just like the smaller Wasps and Hornets, they're also covered in armor plating that needs to be chipped away, and as such, you're better off using something with strong Ark armor penetration values, which again makes the anvil a great choice. Now, before engaging a Rocketeer, make sure you have ample cover, preferably inside a building or close to an entranceway. We shouldn't need it if this goes to plan, but you can never be too safe considering these guys can down you in as little as 2 hits. Start your attack from as far away as possible and aim for a single thruster. Taking out 2 thrusters will send the Rocketeer plummeting to the ground and often kill it outright if it's high enough, but even if it doesn't, they'll be easy enough to finish off once they've hit the ground. The Rocketeer is deadly, but it's incredibly slow for a flying Ark, and as such, you should be able to kill one before it even gets close enough to you if you've carried out this method correctly. I'd also recommend putting some resources into upgrading your anvil if you can for this particular method, in order to increase the fire rate of the weapon and thus allowing you to get more rounds downrange before the Rocketeer has a chance to close the distance between you. Just as a final note here, wolf packs of course make this a done deal, and 1 is practically enough to make a Rocketeer an easy kill. That said, I think many players are going to want to save these grenades for queen fights in the future, and I wanted to showcase this method because wolf packs really aren't needed if you handle things the right way. Okay, so moving on, we're looking at the Surveyor next, and I know this Ark doesn't try to kill you, at least unless you back it into a corner when it tries to run away, but it can prove very frustrating chasing these rollers around for those that haven't got the right strategy yet. With that in mind, this method should ensure you get the kill every time, even if you're solo. You'll need 1 showstopper grenade, which to my knowledge can only be looted and not crafted right now, and 3 trigger nades, which thankfully can be crafted fairly easily after completing the necessary quest. Now, the Surveyor will usually attempt to run away from the player, and as such, you'll want to sneak close enough to land a showstopper grenade as your opening attack in this fight. Now, as soon as that's done, switch to the trigger nades and lay it on thick. Don't hold back here, use all the grenades while the Surveyor is stunned, because you will not get much of a chance as soon as they start rolling into the distance. Detonate all 3 grenades, and you should find this is more than enough to destroy them. If you don't have any showstoppers available, you might still be able to land a couple of trigger nades on the Surveyor before it tries to flee, and from there it should only take a handful of shots to finish it off. The Surveyor is fully armor plated except for when it is actively surveying, so I'd suggest bringing a heavy ammo weapon for the best impact if you're going without the showstopper grenade. Just a quick note here that any pieces that fall off of the Surveyor can be looted, and any of those pieces could hold the valuable surveyor vaults that you're after. So make sure to keep track of where these bits land if you end up having to chase them around a little bit. Okay, so next we move on to the bastion, and the first and easiest method to take down a bastion requires 3 things: a friend, or at least someone you can tolerate, a torrente,
Alright, I'm
and
gonna
a
have to
lot
switch
of
this mic. Hold on.
ammunition, which is thankfully very easy to craft.
How about
So the
some?
torrente is optional. You can carry out
How
the strategy
about
just about any weapon,
some
but this one undoubtedly
red
gets you the
juice?
kill the fastest. When
I
setting
got
up,
you
try to
red
ensure that
juice,
you
and it's
and
in
your
the
duo
fridge.
partner are on either side of the bastion with ample cover, preferably on raised ground in case it decides to try and maneuver for a better shot. After all, we all know the value of the high ground. Use your friend to bait the bastion into turning around by firing the first shot, then simply crouch to increase your accuracy and aim for the small yellow canister on the rear armor plating. Don't hold back here, just empty the magazine. You want to put as many rounds as possible into the bastion's back while it is turned around. This yellow canister is entirely unarmored, and this is why the Torrente is so powerful, with a large magazine capacity, a high fire rate, and reasonable damage. Unlike some other Ark enemies, you do not need a heavy ammo weapon with high penetration damage to kill a bastion, thanks to the fact that the weak spot is unarmored. Once you've got the bastion's attention, simply step back, reload, and wait for your friend to pull its attention again before repeating the process. You should find that you're able to kill the bastion incredibly quickly, usually within 3 reloads of a Torrente. Explosives are of course effective here, but are also more expensive than simply crafting some bullets, and for that reason, this is my preferred method. If you don't have anyone available to give you a hand with taking down a bastion, I suggest bringing 5 or 6 trigger nades and sticking them to the bastion itself each time its aim resets. Other grenades like snap blasts or heavy fuse work fine too. The bastion is obviously quite slow, so it's fairly easy to land hits with whatever grenade you have available to you. What I will say is that it's really not worthwhile trying to take down a bastion solo with basic weaponry alone. The time it takes you to actually bring one down by shooting the knee joints is almost certainly going to draw hostile raiders to your position, and it makes it far more risky than it has to be. You're better off investing some supplies and explosives and dealing with it quickly so you can get looted and get out of there. Now this brings me lastly to the Bombardier, and this is an interesting one because it possesses all of the same weak points as the Bastion, but with the addition that there is no armor plating on its main body. If you weren't really familiar with the Bombardier, this might make you think they're going to be easy, but you would be sorely mistaken if you attempted to fight one of these in the open. Bombardiers are lethal, and because of that, there is no room for messing around here if you're a solo player. We want to kill this thing before it even really has a chance to fight back. Firstly, you're going to need 5 or 6 trigger nades. Similar to my preferred strategy when fighting a Bastion solo, this is going to allow us to kill this thing as quickly as possible. Their mortar fire is absolutely devastating, and as such, the biggest thing you'll want for this encounter is a position to start throwing these grenades from while having a roof over your head. This will make it considerably harder for the Bombardier to land shots on you while you take it down. It also effectively means you can ignore the spotter drones that help it triangulate your position. So long as you have a building for shelter, you will be relatively safe. It can also be handy to bring along a showstopper grenade if you have one, just so you can effectively lock them in place and hit them with as many trigger nades as possible before it even starts opening fire on you. The alternative method to killing a Bombardier is much the same as the Bastion. You just need a friend who's willing to take its attention while you focus your damage on the rear canister. That said, this is going to mean that you'll both need a sheltered building on either side of the Bombardier to make this work, and that is both very specific and very awkward to pull off in practice. You'll likely both find yourselves having to risk repositioning through open spaces to get a better shot during this encounter, and as such, I do just think it's worth spending some crafting materials here and coming with the proper explosive ordnance for this one. Yes, you're investing some supplies, but it is also incredibly worthwhile. So that should cover all of the Ark enemies you need to know about and the best ways to take them down. Now stay tuned for a Queen video coming in the not too distant future, and whether you're new to Ark Raiders or already an experienced player looking for some more advanced tips, you might want to check out the other video we already uploaded last week. I guarantee there's something in there that you didn't know. All that said, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.
What up, you nerds? My name is Fallout, and like many of y'all, I've been grinding a ton of Ark Raiders lately, mainly because it's fun, but also to bring you today's video, a whole bunch of tips and tricks for you to be a better Ark Raider. I also have an ultimate new player guide. If you haven't checked that out yet, I'll be sure to leave a link down in the pinned comment. All right, here we go. Tip number 1, reduce fall damage by rolling. If you fall from relatively high up in Ark Raiders, your health bar will take damage when you hit the ground. However, if you hit the button to perform a dodge roll right when you hit the ground, you'll roll and avoid taking fall damage altogether. Granted, if you fall off a really high ledge, you'll take damage no matter what. You kinda have to learn from experience how far you can fall without taking damage doing that, but either way, try to remember if you're falling from a moderate height, dodge roll when you hit the ground. Tip number 2, loot containers for XP, even if they've already been opened. When you're out and looting literally any area of the game, I see a lot of players deliberately not looting already looted areas because they figure, well, all the good stuff is probably gone, so there's no point. And remember, that's not always the case. Sometimes players are only looking for specific items for a quest and they leave stuff behind. And more importantly, even if you loot a container that has already been opened, you still get XP for looting that container. Therefore, open a locker that's already been opened, a drawer or a box that has already been opened. Just look inside and bam, free XP. I do this all the time. Tip number 3, solo queue is great for resource gathering. When I go into Ark Raiders in a 3-man squad, enemy teams are bloodthirsty, and their official modus operandi is usually shoot first, then ask questions later after your team is dead. I was completely blown away by how different solo queue Ark Raiders is. If you didn't know, the game is programmed to queue you with other players based on your fire team size. Meaning, if you're going topside as a solo player, the game is going to try to prioritize putting you into a map with other solo players. And in my experience, solo players are far more chill. The vast majority of them are just there because they want resources, probably to finish a quest or level up Scrappy the Rooster or whatever. I'd say in my experience, maybe 80% of the time, if you're a solo player and you tell people via proximity chat that you're chill, they'll leave you alone and you can even meet some nice people out there. Of course, some people will try to shoot you no matter what, but for the most part, if you're vocal and chill on the mic, you can often avoid a fight and just peacefully gather resources as a solo player. I recommend going to the Raider tab from Speranza, then clicking Customization and then Emotes to find and add the Don't Shoot emote to your in-game emote wheel. A lot of the time, I bump into solo players using that exact emote to indicate that they're only there to resource gather and not cause any trouble. Tip number 4, don't use keys unless you're doing a night raid. As we all know, keys are extremely valuable items that can give you access to areas that are normally restricted, which are likely to contain more valuable loot. And because that is the case, you should also try to only use these keys during night raids, which, while a bit more dangerous, are also more likely to give you more valuable loot. The TLDR is, with the key and night raid together, you're really maximizing your odds at finding the most valuable loot possible. And yeah, it'll be risky as hell, but try to go in with the team and be as prepared as you can be. Tip number 5, don't shoot security cameras. Ark security cameras are pretty damn annoying in that when they see you, they start making that terrible sound. And while you definitely should break them, remember that shooting your gun makes way more noise than the camera itself. Therefore, instead of shooting a camera, take out your melee weapon, then jump and swing to break the camera. Tip number 6, exchange your free loadouts. If you load into a game with a free loadout, then manage to make it out alive, then you'll notice that you still have your free loadout augment as part of your inventory. Now, you could sell that for a measly 100 coins, or you could go talk to Lance at the clinic, as he is an option where you can exchange that free loadout augment for a combat MK1 augment. In my opinion, there is literally no reason to not do this. By far the best thing to do with a loadout augment after you've extracted. Tip number 7, you can pull the extraction lever when downed. It's true, you can actually pull the extraction lever even if you're downed. And on top of that, as long as you're in the elevator by the time it finishes and heads back to Speranza, then you'll still manage to extract out A-OK. So if you're on or near that extraction elevator, don't give up and get the hell out of there with your loot. Tip number 8, quest progress is shared with your fire team. Meaning, if you have a quest that you've picked up from one of the various traders back back in town, you can gain progress on that quest, even if your teammates are the ones doing the work for you. I've had this happen a bunch of times, but here's one example. I had a quest to deal damage to Ark enemies or raiders, and even when I hadn't fired a shot at all, my teammates shooting a nearby Ark drone progressed my quest for me. And again, that can happen for any quest. Something to keep in mind. Tip number 9, prioritize saving blueprints. If you're out in the wild and you find a blueprint for a weapon, a grenade, whatever, I almost always prioritize putting that blueprint directly into my safe pocket. When you're back at Speranza, you have the option to consume and permanently learn that blueprint, meaning you unlock the ability to craft whatever that blueprint was for forever. Granted, even if you unlock the blueprint, you won't be able to craft whatever it is unless your workbench is upgraded to the appropriate level. Which brings me to tip number 10. Also prioritize upgrading your workbenches. Finding good gear topside is great, but being able to craft strong gear whenever you need it is way better. Therefore, you should always be focused on upgrading whenever you can. Keep track of what resources you need in order to upgrade them workbenches, find out where they drop in the wild, and go track them down. And don't forget, some of the resources you need to upgrade a workstation might be available for trade via Celeste, who often has good resources available in exchange for sorted seeds, which you can build up a good amount of kind of easy thanks to Scrappy the Rooster.
That's how you do a sound check.
Don't forget about
baby.
Even though Scrappy won't give you any insane god tier loot,
let's
he will
check
give you basic materials
what it sounds
every time you come
like
back from a mission. And the more you train and level him up, the more he'll give you. So don't forget about leveling him up and seeing what items exactly you need to do so. Tip number 12: looting MK. That's how you do a sound check. If you're going into a night raid, maybe think about bringing a looting MK2 augment specifically, as they come with 2 safe pockets instead of just 1. That way, if you find 2 really valuable pieces of loot that you really want to get back to Speranza, you can take them
we know what to do.
even if you fail. Looting MK2s are sometimes available to be purchased via Lance at the clinic, or you can craft one yourself, provided you have your gear bench upgraded to level 2. Tip number 13: save your coins for upgrading your stash. As you play Ark Raiders, you will soon learn that there is never, ever enough room.
You gotta love the YouTube, man.
That's why
all right,
the size of
let's
your stash
play
is
some
so
Ark.
damn important. I know it's incredibly tempting to spend your coins on buying cool stuff at the gun shop. Personally, I'm okay with maybe buying a weapon mod here or there. They're not usually that expensive. But the vast amount of my coins are always spent on upgrading my stash, and the more you do it, the more expensive it will get. But it is so worth it because there is truly never enough room for your junk. Tip number 14: close doors behind you. If you're on a map like Damn Battlegrounds or the Blue Gate or any map with a door, it is usually a really good idea that when heading into an area where you intend to loot, you should close doors behind you. Reason being, you do not want to get taken by surprise by another team looking to jack all of your stuff. Therefore, if you close doors behind you, then when you're looting, you suddenly hear a door open, you know it's about to go down. I try to do this as much as I can when looting, just in case. Tip number 15: know which cars to not touch. Usually in Ark Raiders, you want to be as quiet as possible because the more noise you make, the more likely it is you're going to attract the attention of both nearby Ark and, even worse, nearby players. Therefore, you should know that some cars have a car alarm that will make a lot of noise if you touch that car. The rule of thumb is if you see a car like this, aka a car with headlights or taillights that are clearly illuminated, that means you should 100% avoid that car because it will make a lot of noise if you touch it. Tip number 16: know when to run with guns out or 100% unarmed. I think most players know by now that if you run around with all your weapons completely put away, you'll move faster and your stamina won't deplete as quickly.
If you're using a PlayStation controller but see the Xbox input on your Steam games, then follow this simple step. Exit out of the game, right-click on it, go to Properties, click on the Controller tab, then disable Steam input.
Kiss my ass. Oh, oopsies. Whoopsies, poopsies. What did he say? Oh.
That's it. If this helped,
Steam has the best.
If you're using a PlayStation controller but see the Xbox input on your Steam games, then follow this simple step. Exit out of the game, right-click on it, go to Properties, click on the Controller tab, then disable Steam input. That's it. If this helped you out, then let me know, and don't forget to like, follow, and share. If you're using a PlayStation controller but see the Xbox input on your Steam games, then follow this simple step. Exit out of the game, right-click on it, go to Properties, click on the Controller tab, then disable Steam input. That's it. If this helped you out, then let me know, and don't forget to like, follow, and share. If you're using a PlayStation controller but see the Xbox input on your Steam games, then follow this simple step. Exit out of the game, right-click on it, go to Properties, click on the Controller tab, then disable Steam input. That's it. If this helped you out, then let me know, and don't forget to like, follow, and share. If you're using a PlayStation controller but see the Xbox input on your Steam games, then follow this simple step.
Let's see.
Exit out of the game, right-click on it, go to Properties,
I'm also using
click on the
which
Controller
one
tab,
calls.
then disable Steam input. That's it. If this helped you out, then let me know, and don't forget to like.
Steam has the best controller support for games, unlike. Or former.